What if you could walk into your boss's office tomorrow and say, "I quit"? Not out of anger, not out of frustration, but out of freedom. Imagine having a plan so solid, a financial foundation so secure, that leaving your 9 to 5 isn't a reckless gamble, but a calculated next step towards the life you actually want. For most people, it feels like a dream. But for a woman named Amelia, at just 28 years old, it became her reality. She didn't win the lottery. She didn't inherit a fortune. She started from zero, buried in student debt, and working a job that was slowly draining the life out of her. In this video, we're not just going to tell you her story. We are going to dissect her entire journey, piece by piece, the exact financial blueprint she created, the side hustles she built, the investing mistakes she made, and the psychological battles she won to achieve financial independence. This is the unfiltered story of how she did it. Welcome to Hope to Wealth, where we share real stories to inspire your own financial journey. Today's story is one that I know will resonate with so many of you who feel trapped in the daily grind. It's the story of Amelia, a woman who looked at the conventional path of climbing the corporate ladder for 40 years and decided to build her own ladder instead. We're going to dive deep into the nitty-gritty details. We'll talk about the aha moment that sparked her decision, the initial fear and uncertainty that came with leaving a stable paycheck, and the step-by-step process she used to build multiple income streams from scratch. We'll break down her budgeting methods, her debt repayment strategy that freed her from thousands in student loans, and how she transitioned from a cautious saver to a confident investor. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a testament to discipline, strategic planning, and relentless perseverance. By the end of this video, you'll have a practical, actionable framework you can start applying to your own life today. If you're ready to be inspired and learn some powerful lessons about building real wealth, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Hope to Wealth so you don't miss stories like this. The breaking point. Amelia's life from the outside looked perfect. At 28, she was a marketing manager at a respectable tech firm in Austin, Texas. She had the corner cubicle with a sliver of a window, a salary that comfortably covered her rent and bills, and a LinkedIn profile that screamed up-and-comer. But behind the corporate jargon and forced smiles in team meetings, Amelia was drowning. Her day started before the sun rose, checking emails in bed, a knot of anxiety already forming in her stomach. The commute was a soul-crushing hour of bumper-to-bumper traffic just to arrive at an office where the fluorescent light seemed to hum with a unique brand of misery. Her boss, a man named Mr. Harrison, communicated primarily through passive-aggressive emails and last-minute, urgent requests that always seemed to land at 4:59 p.m. on a Friday. The work itself, once challenging, had become a monotonous loop of creating presentations that no one read and analyzing data to justify decisions that had already been made. She was a highly paid, highly stressed cog in a machine she didn't believe in. The emotional toll was immense. She was constantly exhausted, irritable with friends and family, and the Sunday scaries had morphed into a full-blown weekend-long dread. She was living for a paycheck, trading her precious time and mental health for a number in her bank account that never felt like enough to justify the sacrifice. The breaking point wasn't a dramatic movie-style explosion. It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon. Mr. Harrison had just publicly dismissed a project she had spent 3 months developing, not because it was flawed, but because a senior executive had a fleeting off-the-cuff idea in a meeting that contradicted it. All her work, all those late nights, were erased with a casual wave of a hand. Amelia sat at her desk, staring at her monitor, and felt nothing. The anger and frustration she expected were gone, replaced by a chilling emptiness. She realized she wasn't just unhappy with her job, she was losing herself to it. That evening, instead of zoning out in front of the TV, she opened a blank spreadsheet. She didn't know what the plan was yet, but she typed a title at the top, Operation Escape. For the first time in a long time, the knot in her stomach wasn't anxiety. It was a tiny flickering flame of hope, the terrifying first step. Operation Escape began not with a triumphant resignation letter, but with a cold, hard look at her finances. Amelia knew that quitting her job without a safety net was a fantasy. The first step was to understand exactly where her money was going. For 1 month, she tracked every single penny using a budgeting app. The results were shocking. She was spending nearly $400 a month on lunches and coffees out of convenience and to escape the office. Her subscription services had ballooned to over $100 for things she barely used. The weekend retail therapy sessions to cope with her job stress were costing her hundreds more. She wasn't living lavishly, but 1,000 tiny cuts were bleeding her income dry. Armed with this data, she built her first real budget. It was ruthless. She started meal prepping every Sunday, a ritual that became a form of meditation. She brewed her own coffee. She canceled every non-essential subscription. She and her friends started doing free activities like hiking and park picnics instead of expensive brunches. She wasn't just cutting expenses, she was changing her relationship with money, seeing it not as something to spend for temporary relief, but as a tool to buy her freedom. Her goal was to build an emergency fund that could cover 6 months of her bare-bones living expenses. She calculated this number to be around $15,000. It seemed impossible. At her current savings rate, it would take years. So she took on a second job. On weekends, she worked as a barista at a local coffee shop. It was humbling and exhausting, but every dollar she earned went directly into her freedom fund. The conversations with her parents were difficult. "You have a good job, a career," her dad would say, his voice laced with concern. "Don't throw it away for a daydream." Her friends were split. Some were inspired, others thought she was crazy. The doubt was a constant battle. There were days she'd come home from her corporate job emotionally drained, only to have to put on an apron and force a smile for coffee customers, thinking, "What am I doing?" But then she would look at the balance in her savings account, ticking slowly upward. That number wasn't just money, it was a progress bar measuring her proximity to freedom. It took her 14 months of relentless discipline, of saying no to social events, of living on a shoestring budget and working 7 days a week. But one day, she logged into her bank account and saw the number, $15,021. The sense of security was palpable. She now had a runway. It was time to build the plane. If you're finding Amelia's story inspiring and want to take control of your own financial life, do us a huge favor and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to Hope to Wealth for more stories that empower you to build your own future. The what now phase and the side hustle grind. With her safety net in place, Amelia could finally start thinking beyond just saving. She needed to build an income stream that could replace her corporate salary. She didn't have a grand business idea. The what now phase was a period of intense and often messy experimentation. She spent her evenings and weekends not just working as a barista, but exploring dozens of potential side hustles. She tried dropshipping, but found the customer service and logistics overwhelming. She started a blog, but after 3 months of writing into the void with little traffic, she felt discouraged. She even tried pet sitting, which she enjoyed, but quickly realized it wasn't scalable enough to replace her income. Each failure was a lesson. She learned she hated dealing with physical inventory. She wasn't patient enough for the slow burn of SEO, and she wanted a business built around a skill, not just her time. During her day job, one of her core responsibilities was writing compelling copy for marketing campaigns. She was good at it, and it was the one part of her job she didn't despise. A thought sparked. Could she do this for other people? She created a simple profile on Upwork, a freelancing platform. Her first few proposals were met with silence. The competition was fierce, and her profile was bare. To build a portfolio, she did something unconventional. She reached out to 3 small local businesses she admired and offered to rewrite their website's homepage copy for free. She explained she was a new freelancer looking to build her portfolio and would only ask for a testimonial if they were happy with the work. 2 of them agreed. She poured her heart into those projects, treating them as if they were $1 million accounts. The results were 2 glowing testimonials and professional samples she could add to her profile. This was the turning point. She started applying for small, fixed-price jobs on Upwork for $50 or $100. They were low-paying, but they were wins. Each completed job was another 5-star review, another piece for her portfolio. The grind was immense. She would work her 9 to 5, then come home, eat a quick dinner, and work on freelance projects until midnight. The barista job was still happening on weekends. Sleep became a luxury. But unlike her day job, this work felt different. It was hers. Every word she wrote, every client she satisfied, was a brick she was laying in the foundation of her new life. She was learning to sell herself, manage clients, handle invoices, and price her services. She was no longer just a copywriter. She was becoming a business owner, from side hustle to main income. After 6 months of grinding on Upwork, Amelia had built a solid reputation. She was a rising talent on the platform and had a steady stream of small projects. But she was still far from replacing her full-time salary. The leap from side hustle to main income required a strategic shift. She couldn't just keep trading her time for small one-off jobs. She needed bigger, better paying, and more consistent clients. Her first move was to specialize. Instead of being a generalist copywriter, she niched down to email marketing copywriter for e-commerce brands. This allowed her to target a specific type of client, speak their language, and charge a premium for her specialized expertise. She updated her profiles, her portfolio, and her proposals to reflect this new focus. Her second strategy was to get off the freelancing platforms. While Upwork was a great starting point, it was also a race to the bottom on price. She wanted to build direct relationships with clients. She started using LinkedIn as a prospecting tool. She would identify interesting e-commerce brands, connect with their marketing managers, people who had her old job, and send a personalized message. It wasn't a sales pitch, it was a value proposition. She would offer a free brief analysis of their current email newsletters, pointing out 1 or 2 specific areas for improvement. This give value first approach had a much higher response rate than a cold pitch. Her first big client came from this strategy. It was a mid-sized, direct-to-consumer skincare brand. The marketing manager was impressed with her free audit and hired her for a small project, a 3-email welcome sequence. Amelia over-delivered. She researched their audience meticulously, wrote copy that was perfectly on brand, and even suggested A/B testing ideas for the subject lines. The client was blown away. That small project turned into a monthly retainer contract for $2,500 per month to handle all their email marketing. It was her first taste of recurring revenue, and it was a game changer. 2 months later, she landed another retainer client for $3,000 per month. She now had $5,500 in predictable monthly income from her business. It was less than her corporate salary, but combined with her bare-bones budget, it was enough. It was enough to live on. The day she gave her 2 weeks' notice to Mr. Harrison was surreal. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation. It was a calm, professional conversation. As she walked out of his office, she didn't feel elation, but a profound sense of peace. She had done it. She had built her own lifeboat. Now, the real journey could begin. If you're getting value from this breakdown of Amelia's strategy, please click the like button and subscribe for more in-depth content. Your support helps us create more videos like this one. The financial overhaul. Quitting her job was a liberation, but it was also a financial shock to the system. Amelia went from a predictable bi-weekly paycheck to a lumpy, unpredictable income stream. 1 month, she might invoice $6,000, the next only $3,500 as projects ebbed and flowed. This required a complete overhaul of her personal finance system. The simple budget she used while saving her emergency fund was no longer sufficient. She adopted the profit-first methodology, but for her personal finances. She opened multiple savings accounts and gave each one a specific job. When a client payment hit her business checking account, she would immediately pay herself a fixed salary into her personal checking account. This was a consistent amount she knew she could live on, even in a lean month. The rest of the money in the business account was then allocated by percentage into other accounts. One for business taxes, a crucial step many new freelancers forget, one for business expenses, and one for business profit reinvestment. This system removed the emotional roller coaster of variable income. Her personal lifestyle was funded by her consistent, predictable salary, insulating her from the ups and downs of the business. With her income system stabilized, she turned her attention to her biggest remaining financial burden, $38,000 in student loan debt. The interest felt like an anchor dragging down her progress. She adopted the avalanche method, continuing to make the minimum payments on all her loans, but throwing every single extra dollar at the loan with the highest interest rate. Her extra dollars came from two sources. First, any business income above her set salary, taxes, and expenses was now directed towards the debt. If she had a particularly good month and invoiced $8,000, that extra couple thousand went straight to the loan. Second, she kept her lifestyle incredibly lean. Even though she could afford to, she didn't upgrade her apartment, her car, or her lifestyle. She kept living like the broke barista she had been just a year prior. Every decision was filtered through one question: will this get me to debt freedom faster? It was a grueling 22-month sprint. There were no fancy vacations, no new gadgets, no expensive dinners. But watching that loan balance plummet was more satisfying than any material purchase. The day she made the final payment, she cried. It wasn't just about the money. It was about severing the last major tie to her old life and her old obligations. She was truly, completely free. The investing journey begins. With her emergency fund full and her student loans gone, Amelia reached a new financial milestone. For the first time, she had significant disposable income with no debt to throw it at. It was time to shift from a defensive financial strategy, saving, paying off debt, to an offensive one, investing. Her goal was no longer just to survive, but to build long-term generational wealth. Her first foray into investing was, by her own admission, a disaster. She got caught up in the hype of a few hot tech stocks she read about online. She invested a few $1,000s without doing any real research, driven by FOMO, fear of missing out. Within 3 months, the stocks had plummeted, and she had lost nearly 40% of her initial investment. It was a painful but invaluable lesson. She learned that she was not a stock picker, and that trying to time the market was a fool's errand. Humbled, she went back to basics. She spent the next 2 months devouring books and blogs about long-term passive investing. She learned about John Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, and his philosophy of low-cost index fund investing. The concept resonated deeply with her. Instead of trying to beat the market, you simply buy the entire market and let the power of compounding do the heavy lifting over decades. She developed a simple, elegant investing strategy. She opened a Roth IRA and a taxable brokerage account with a low-cost provider. Her entire portfolio consisted of just 3 funds: a U.S. total stock market index fund, like VTSX, an international total stock market index fund, like VTIAX, and a small allocation to a U.S. total bond market index fund, like VBTLX. Her asset allocation was aggressive, around 90% stocks and 10% bonds, reflecting her long-time horizon. The most important part of her strategy was automation. Every single month, an automatic transfer moved a significant portion of her income from her checking account into her investment accounts, where it was automatically invested in her chosen funds. This was dollar-cost averaging in its purest form. It removed emotion and decision-making from the process. Whether the market was up or down, she was consistently buying. She stopped checking her portfolio every day. She trusted the process, focusing her energy not on picking stocks, but on increasing her income so she could invest more each month. This shift from active gambler to passive investor was the most profound financial evolution of her journey. We're deep into the practical strategies now, and if this is helping you think about your own financial plan, show some love by hitting the like button. And make sure you're subscribed so you can join us for every step of the wealth-building journey. Building multiple streams of income. Amelia's freelance copywriting business was thriving. She was earning a consistent six-figure income, but she was acutely aware of its one major flaw. She was still trading time for money. If she didn't work, she didn't get paid. True financial freedom, she realized, required building income streams that were not directly tied to her active hours. Her investing was one passive stream, but she wanted to build more. Her first new stream was born directly from her copywriting business. Clients were constantly asking her for advice on email marketing strategy, beyond just the writing. She found herself repeating the same advice over and over. So, she decided to productize her knowledge. She spent 3 months creating a comprehensive digital course called Email Empires, which taught e-commerce businesses how to build their email marketing from scratch. It was an enormous amount of work up front. She scripted and recorded video modules, created downloadable worksheets, and built a small community for students. She launched it to her small email list and social media following, and in the first month, she made $5,000. It wasn't a fortune, but it was magical. It was money she earned while she was sleeping. This success fueled her. She then launched a second, smaller digital product, a pack of high-converting email templates for $99. This was a lower-priced, easier yes for potential customers who weren't ready for her full course. This template pack became a steady, reliable source of a few $1,000s a month in nearly passive income. Her next income stream was affiliate marketing. On her professional blog, where she shared tips about copywriting and email marketing, she started including affiliate links for the software and tools she genuinely used and recommended. Tools like email service providers, landing page builders, and grammar checkers. When a reader clicked her link and purchased the software, she would receive a small commission at no extra cost to the reader. It started small, maybe $50 a month, but as her blog's traffic grew, so did her affiliate income, eventually reaching a consistent $1,000 or $500 per month. By the time she was 32, 4 years after quitting her job, Amelia had 5 distinct income streams. Her active freelance copywriting, which she now did more selectively, only taking on high-level projects, her index fund investments, her online course, her digital templates, and her affiliate marketing blog. No single stream was a torrent of cash, but together they created a powerful, resilient river of income. If one stream dried up for a month, the others would compensate, providing a level of financial security she had never dreamed of in her cubicle. The I made it moment and reflections. There was no single I made it moment for Amelia. It wasn't a number in her bank account or a specific net worth milestone. Instead, it was a series of small, quiet moments. It was the moment she realized her monthly investment income had surpassed her rent payment. It was the moment she took a 2-week trip to Italy and her business income actually increased while she was gone, thanks to her digital products. It was the moment her mother had a medical emergency, and Amelia was able to pay the entire bill in cash without blinking an eye. And more importantly, take a month off work to be with her without any financial stress. The true feeling of making it wasn't about being rich. It was about having options. It was the freedom to choose how she spent her days, who she worked with, and where she lived. It was the ability to prioritize her health, her relationships, and her passions over a paycheck. Her life now looks very different from her corporate days. She works about 20 hours a week, mostly on projects she finds genuinely interesting. She spends her mornings hiking, reading, and volunteering at a local animal shelter. She has time to cook healthy meals, visit her family, and learn new skills just for the fun of it. Looking back, Amelia identifies 3 key lessons from her journey. First, the power of a why. Her deep-seated desire to escape her soul-crushing job was the fuel that got her through the exhausting days of working 3 jobs. Without a powerful emotional driver, discipline is impossible to maintain. Second, the importance of financial literacy. Understanding budgeting, debt, and investing wasn't just a hobby, it was the language of freedom. She treated her financial education as seriously as her professional one. Third, the concept of starting small. She didn't try to build $1 million business overnight. She started by offering to do a project for free, then a $50 project, then a $100 one. She didn't start by investing $100,000, she started with $100 a month. Every massive outcome in her life was the result of thousands of small, consistent, and unglamorous steps. Her story is a powerful reminder that building wealth from zero is not about luck or genius. It's about creating a plan, executing it with relentless consistency, and having the courage to choose a different path. So, what can we take away from Amelia's incredible journey from a miserable cubicle to a life of financial freedom? It boils down to a few core principles. First, she took radical ownership of her situation. She didn't just complain. She created a concrete plan, Operation Escape, and executed it. Second, she embraced short-term sacrifice for long-term gain, working multiple jobs and living frugally to build her freedom fund and destroy her debt. Third, she methodically built systems, a system for her budget, a system for her investing, and systems to generate passive income. She replaced hope with process. Her story is the essence of what we believe in here at Hope to Wealth, that no matter where you're starting from, with the right knowledge and discipline, you have the power to completely transform your financial destiny. It's not easy and it's not fast, but as Amelia has shown us, it is absolutely possible. What was the most inspiring part of Amelia's story for you? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this video gave you a spark of hope or a practical idea you can use, please do 3 things for us. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.